To set some context about this podcast went off the rails. Now, this specific version of the show is edited down to really make it safe for work, but the live show was just bonkers. If you guys want to see that version, it is not safe for work, and it is currently behind the members mark here on the channel. That's the risk or the craziness or the fun about doing live shows. You never truly know what's going to happen, and this is an example of that. But in this version, the audio version, this should be enjoyable for all audiences, or at least most audiences, PG and up. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show, and let's get into it.
Epic Loot Radio. Epic Loot Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Epic Loot Radio. Brian and Kirk bringing a internet provocateur, Alex. Oh no, it's Alex to come on and talk about. What do you say?
I don't know if I'm an internet provocateur.
I just like the word provocateur. I feel like I'm an internet provocateur at times. So it's. But we got a lot to talk about today. We just finished watching the Xbox Direct kicking off January and strong. Right now, over the course of the interwebs, Twitter, namely, the debate rages on, is Xbox going third party and the console wars. And you, sir, you produce a lot of really great videos. I find your videos highly, highly entertaining. And so thanks so much for taking some time today to sit down and talk with us. And I'd like to get your thoughts first and foremost, because I was just hanging out with Kirk about the Direct. What are your highs and what are your lows for what we just witnessed?
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm entertaining at all. So thank you for that.
I feel the exact same way. I'm like I'm not an entertainer, guys. Like, I'm just a nerd that's a developer.
I'm just a big 6 foot tall goof that slaps his thighs and gets paid to take his shirt off. So it's fine.
Get the quads going.
It's fine. So yeah, I think I thought it was pretty good. The highs were definitely Indy. Indy was really looking great. I didn't expect it to look that good. I was quite shocked. The low for me was Avowed.
Yeah.
I wanted more out of that. I wanted a lot more out of that. I wanted more RPG mechanic styles. I wanted more information on what they were going to do differently compared to what they did with Fallout, with other things.
What's the what kind of systems?
What are the systems are there? The combat looks cool because they're doing the whole quick switch thing, which is really nice because it's basically just Pillars of Eternity and just first person with real-time combat, which is great. But it's just there needs to be more. They should have not, I don't say they need Starfield time like Starfield did, but they should have been more focused on the RPG mechanics and more along the lines of the conversational pieces, because that was, some of it was there. But I mean, if it's one thing I trust Obsidian with, it is storytelling and RPG mechanics, because Pillars of Eternity I put 300 plus hours into.
Wow.
Which is honestly a fantastic game. If you like CRPGs, if you were in a Baldur's Gate, this is going to be the one you should go into next. But I wanted more in terms of what mechanics are you going to show me? What's going to be there? What other options do I have? And there really wasn't, which is kind of weird. I love the art style. I think it's great. I think the game looks good. I just think there's more to it that what needs to be there for me in terms of an RPG. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the release set for this fall, I think there is, or at least from a presentation perspective, they have plenty of roadway, to actually have a moment where maybe this, what was formerly known as E3, but I keep calling it E3, to sit down and dive more in depth, because Hellblade 2 is releasing May 21st, well before kind of the Summer Games Fest that will kick us off into the year. Kirk, what about your highs and lows?
Yeah, as you know, the highs for me were Indiana Jones, how good that looks. I'm willing to go on record and say I think that's going to be a Game of the Year nominee. And then Visions of Mana as a little surprise.
Yeah.
Would have been a higher high if they had said day one Game Pass, but if that comes down to contractual stuff. So it was an interesting inclusion for sure. I think it definitely takes runner up by a mile in terms of like best game of the show. I think everything else was lagging behind considerably in terms of general hype and interest level. So those two for me were very good showings, and then the rest. I mean, Hellblade as a game, I'm not.
Looks good.
I don't doubt. I don't lack confidence in that. It's just like, did we really need to see any more of that? And if we did, could you maybe have shown us something that we haven't seen yet? Something that is gonna make us really say like, oh, it's like that. And no, that's just not the way that Ninja Theory shows off their game leading up to release. So. Unfortunately, the rest of the show was kind of filler to get to the parts where it was really exciting, but the parts that hit, and yeah, that's what everybody's gonna be talking about going into this weekend.
That's the good news about Game Pass. So, like when it's all said and done, it's when it does like, and let's say it's your kind of game. Like they showed off the strategy game. Okay, like maybe that appeals to you, maybe it doesn't. Guess what? If you have Game Pass, it doesn't cost you anything to try it out if that's something that you're interested in. Same thing. That's my view of like Hellblade. Like those kind of style games aren't things that appeal to me, or at least that I assume that they don't appeal to me. But I will try out Hellblade because there's no risk. There's no money that I gotta, invest in the game to check it out. And so I think that's going to be something where this will be an introduction to Hellblade for me. And to Kirk's point, where like Visions of Mana not having that Game Pass announcement, like it does feel like that would have been a home run, because the memes about, especially Xbox is like, people don't play JRPGs on Xbox. Like one way to solve that is just give it to everybody who happens to have an Xbox, and
put the JRPG on the Xbox.
Yeah, just there you go.
Just do it.
Indiana Jones was actually more interesting to see. The entire time I was like, it's a movie based IP, and outside of like Spider-Man on the PlayStation, like my history with movie based IPs was they're always a little bit less than what you ever want them. If anybody remembers playing the old Wolverine games, I think some exceptions might be the Lord of the Rings.
I heard the one of the 360 was really good.
Yeah, there was like a handful, but it was just that typically the pattern was, I guess, in the mid 20s, was more focused on like a movie's coming out. We also have to have a game come out around the same time, but the movie would be finished and the game would be like, yeah, it's not ready, but we're gonna really print it anyway. Those schlubs are just gonna buy it, and
they'll buy the tie-in. It's fine.
So I think I would agree. Highs were Indiana Jones. Low was definitely Avowed. Also, I do wish, I was actually happy to see Square Enix, but we didn't get a Final Fantasy 7 or a shadow drop of Final Fantasy 14. So that does confirm that 14 is going to be in February, and who knows what else is going on with that. Now, so that I think that's a good summary. I mean, it was interesting the amount of time that they gave the show, but like I want to go to Alex because over the course of the last several days, if not sooner, a lot of internet tweets and conversation is going up around Xbox going third party, and the CEO Satya Nadella talking about the state of like, yeah, we want to be a really good publisher to Sony and Nintendo. And this is great. Like for me,
so
I'm
out of
thoroughly
context,
entertained.
absolutely taken out of context, but.
We'll get Kirk's thoughts in a second. Alex, what's your take? What's your read? Are you having fun with this, or is this?
I absolutely love it. I mean, I like making content about people who like to fawn over plastic boxes. It's one of my favorite things to do, and just make fun of them. So I think really for me, it's irrelevant whether they go third party or not. And I think they already are third party, and so is PlayStation. So it doesn't really matter. Like these arguments of like, oh, Xbox is going third party. People say that as if it's a dig, as if Xbox is gone from gaming, which they're not. This argument of like third party, everybody's going third party because games are expensive. People want money. Companies want to see the bottom line increase every single year. So just like we see PlayStation putting out Marathon on Xbox, and we've got Helldivers on PC. We got PC ports coming from PlayStation. We've got MLB The Show. People like to say that it's not a real one because MLB is not owned by Sony or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter.
They own the
there
show. No. Sony owns the show.
even if they want to make that argument, right? There are other titles that are Sony first and second party hitting other platforms, therefore they are a third party publisher. Done.
And
Like
Sony
it's over.
has, I think they announced today, and I haven't been able to like check that it's legit, because in the world of AI, who freaking knows?
Who knows?
But they're talking about Sony for making more investment. They're still going to keep PlayStation as its core, but more investment into PC, mobile, and cloud. And it's like, yes, you're not married to a specific device. It's actually, I was talking with, and we actually have J-Dub. Like I'm getting everybody off of Twitter onto the show. But I'm talking to him because I asked him about the PlayStation.
That's who you were referring to earlier, right? The old men who cling to boxes.
That's literally one of them.
Yeah, by name.
I do think, and because I haven't found anybody that is 39 and under, so I give it. I typically am like, should I say 35 plus? But it literally feels like it's like if you're in your 40s and you got nothing else to do right now, let's get on Twitter and pick a side.
You're arguing about video games, which is the funniest shit ever. I mean, you could be doing that except other bullshit. You know what I mean?
The thing is that the console wars, I think when those dinosaurs do go quietly into the tar pits, you'll see that people will pick up other things to kind of fight about. I don't know if you ever seen online.
But I don't think it's ever going to end.
Oh, I think it will. I think it definitely will. Like people will still like, but they're gonna die, right? Because
because there are 60-plus-year-old men who argue about sports teams.
Right.
You're going to see the same. Now it will move from console wars to service wars. Who has the best service?
Right. It'll be service wars, because like kids will fight about
or
like
anything
Fortnite.
Like that,
they're like, oh, have you ever heard the insult default?
Yeah, the default skin. Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's like, you're not spending money on the cash out. Like, what a loser. It's like, people will find anything.
Oh yeah, in 2K it used to be brown shirts. If you had the brown shirt, then you had the starting
skin
shirt. Yeah, like in 2K. So yeah, it's.
But I mean, back like to the topic at hand. Like I play on PC. I primarily play on PC, and so for me, it's like I want every game on every platform. There are PC games that I want console gamers to have, and there are console games I want PC gamers to have. Like this concept of like, oh, my plastic box is what's going to matter. No, it's just a logo on a box. And even nowadays, these consoles are just x86 architecture PCs anyways, which is really just the funniest, stupid shit ever. So there's nothing special like the cell processor or whatever bullshit you had before. So this argument of like, oh, remember the IO throughput argument for like the SSD? That was a whole other ball game and a half, and that was really funny.
It can only be done on PlayStation 5 or on a high-end PC,
or on any PC with a SATA SSD. You didn't even need anything high-end. But I think that's gonna be the thing that just I'd like it to go away, but then at the same time, like content is great. And it keeps me busy. So it's just always a lot of fun to see that kind of like just bullshit. But in reality, though, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. They just want your money, and they're going to get it, whether it's through a sub service or through buying the product. So get ready for more PlayStation games on Xbox, more Xbox games on PlayStation, and Nintendo not doing a fucking goddamn thing.
They don't have to.
Doing their own thing. They don't have to.
Well, see, Nintendo, here's the point that I've made, and I get some interesting pushback on it. And then I want to go to Kirk to get his kind of thoughts on third-party publishing, etc. But I've stated that like Nintendo actually isn't a console; it's a handheld. The Switch is a handheld with a TV output functionality, right? Yeah. They've done that before with their Game Boys and stuff. So they've just combined it. They focusing on their division that they won every year over year over year, which their handhelds have always just straight up dominated, and nobody else has been able to touch that space. And so Switch, they abandoned console, went full handheld mode, and so they're a handheld. They're out there and they're just doing their thing, and they sell the Switch for a profit. So they're no longer in the razor and blades model where they're trying to make sure that they're making up that difference on the back end through software sales to third party. So they're like, listen, we can make this at a profit. We can make our games. We know you're going to buy it. Here's the Switch 2. It's like, okay, great. Thank you very much. I do wish Nintendo would embrace a level of like, cloud servicing so that you could play it on PC and like teaming up with Microsoft or Amazon or something like that, where it's like, okay, you can access your games on your Switch or, through the cloud. But I wonder,
why don't they just put the fucking game on PC?
That'd be great.
Actually,
I had to break the news to my son yesterday.
We're already emulating the game.
Right.
If you just put it on Steam, we give you the money for it.
Yeah, let us give you like that's the thing I've been frustrated is like I held off on Tears of the Kingdom because I wanted to play it at 60 frames and I know that I could hack it, but then I'm like I go back and forth as a developer on that choice. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying like I have my own internal ping pong battle. So I was like, you know what? Switch to next year playing Tears of the Kingdom, gonna play it at the what I would prefer the experience.
Switch 2 is not backwards compatible?
If it's not, they're oh my gosh, like the Nintendo. I'm such a hardcore Nintendo fanboy. So we're talking about fanboyism. Like I think the whole Xbox versus Sony thing is just cute because I'm sitting here going like Nintendo. Like I like deep down, I'm so mad at Nintendo all the time, but at the same time, I'm like I'm there. I keep saying you suck, but here's my money.
I think it's hilarious when fanboys talk about sales of games.
Yeah.
And then when you bring them Nintendo, they're like, oh, that doesn't count. It's why? Because in 2 days they did what you took 2 years to do.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about sales, is that why it doesn't count? Or because it's not like photorealistic visuals? Oh, it doesn't count then. But okay. All right, we're gonna move that goalpost.
I had to break the news yesterday to my son because he was like, hey dad, can we install Smash Brothers on your computer and we can play it up here? And I go,
you sure can.
Well,
you sure can.
You sure can, son.
You sure can. You absolutely can. Let me take you to this website that you didn't think about going to before, kid.
Let me introduce you into the world of illegal crime.
You want to be a felon at age 6? Yeah, you do.
Listen, Frankie, when you download Smash Bros, make sure you use a VPN so the government can't track you.
If you're looking for a good VPN, check the link in the description for the ExpressVPN affiliate link, baby.
I'm waiting to get sponsored by a VPN so I can just talk about piracy.
Hey, are you tired of jumping through? Like Nintendo doesn't want to sell you this, but there's a pathway. Let's talk about it. There's a way to do it. So I would love to see them embrace that model as well. It will cut into hardware sales, so it's really just about. But I think software sales have so much less overhead costs because you don't have to physically print anything. Like here's the digital code. Like there you go. So we sold 1 billion copies. Go ahead, Kirk.
So I understand, Alex, that we've addressed that the whole conversation is meaningless, and I'm inclined to agree. But can we actually talk about like what's being said? Because the idea that Xbox is going to go fully third party is completely fabricated nonsense. They're not gonna go full third party.
Don't kill my content. Don't
any more than dude. I'll murder it on a table right now. No, like this is the context of what Satya Nadella said about them being a good publisher on other platforms is specifically regarding the studios that they've just acquired that have massive IP that appeal on a variety of platforms.
Of Activision Blizzard, they want to be a good publisher. That's literally what he. So honestly, though, Halo Infinite has made a massive turnaround, and I would love for everybody to play that fucking game. It's amazing.
Season 5 has been phenomenal. I actually finally got
5, but I've just everything they've done with that entire game has just been amazing.
Yeah, season 5 has been top notch. In fact, it's where like my friend Chris and a couple of my other friends, they've actually now reinstalled it. They were like, hey, let's okay, we're looking for a new game. Call of Duty 3, the third one we didn't really care about. Okay, let's jump back in Halo Infinite and check out all the changes they made over the last 2 years. And it's like,
it's amazing.
This is great. And, they did so much with it. So I'm very pleased. But yeah, I think it'd be great for Halo. Like, even if they said the campaign's on Xbox, but multiplayer, here you go. Everybody just play the game. We don't, we want people playing in matches to be fun, fast, and easy to find. And I saw we're live on YouTube right now. Kirk says, I think so. Sorry.
I do think
I just saw that pop up. I was like, all right.
I do think to sort of sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I do think to sort of shepherd y'all towards the bigger conversation here with the Xbox Direct being today. I do think that in all of this, it just goes to show that Xbox has sort of lost their hold on having a targeted message and having a presence in the community that like people like Sony has a brand that exists almost independent of some of the mixed messaging that they put out in the Jim Ryan era, which is we deliver on Naughty Dog, God of War, like we deliver bespoke experiences. Spider-Man, that's what you're getting with our console. And Xbox has had this slow decline, that really kind of hit a peak with shout out to Kind of Funny, but with Phil Spencer's interview on the Kind of Funny Xcast, where he basically said, "Look, man, we're screwing up here, and I got to right the ship, and I also got to take full accountability because we're losing." And I think
Well,
that was
he didn't say he said they lost.
He said they're in third place.
Worst, yeah, the biggest the worst generation to lose when everybody built out their digital libraries,
and also alluding to the fact that like they don't have the ability to catch up with blockbuster games like a Starfield or whatever, even if those hit, and they're 10 out of 10 or whatever. That's really what they seem to believe over there. And so they've sort of lost the gamer consciousness that I think is resides with Xbox, the people that do consider themselves Xbox gamers first, that came up on the 360 or whatever. And I think that's something that it doesn't matter how they do it. I don't care if you have a box, if you don't have a box, if a lot of your games you're publishing for other platforms, if a lot of your games, the majority of which that you own the IP for, are exclusive. I don't care what your business model is, but you have to come in a way that where your messaging is direct and people understand this is what Xbox is. This is what I can expect out of this company. This is why I believe in and am confident in the product that they're putting out. And it just goes to show the conversations that we're having right now that they have completely lost their hold on that. It doesn't really matter how crazy the conversation gets. We can all sit here and be rational human beings and know that's not what Satya Nadella meant. But we're seeing symptoms of a broader problem with Xbox in terms of like, what does Xbox mean to the public gamer consciousness? So Sony PlayStation means something. It's like Apple. It's like it means something, whether that's tangible or not. It doesn't necessarily have to be tangible, but people understand what the Sony PlayStation brand is. And I think more and more the understanding of what the Xbox brand is slipping away from the public consciousness, and they've got to get a firm grip on that. And I don't know if like Indiana Jones being a banger is going to be enough to do that. They've really got to tighten up on what their corporate messaging is, on what their corporate strategy is, and get those things in sync. And like Phil is one guy. He cannot do that for your entire company. You've got to get in lockstep and have a plan when you're in third place. Sony can have a Jim Ryan that runs the ship as business focused as it was for 4 or 5 years and still come out on top because they're the front runner. We're
all talking with this super niche kind of view where it's like an engaged gamer who's interested in the processing power and the cost and the games and the exclusives. I think for and that represents maybe 5% of gaming. The rest of the 95% are just like, oh, game, who's advertising it? The marketing rights behind what Activision Blizzard, what Microsoft brings now with Activision Blizzard and everything else is just mind share. You're never going to see a PlayStation logo ever tied to Call of Duty again. You're never going to see the PlayStation logo tied to World of Warcraft or Overwatch or whatever Blizzard's got cooking up. And
that stuff works too.
In mobile. Yeah. And mobile gaming. Like when we talk about Game Pass PC, like I think you'll see Game Pass extended into the mobile environment. Well, all of a sudden you can bring in like Fortnite mobile and, like all these mobile games, which I don't like mobile games at all, but it is a part of the business. It is a part of the industry, and they have positioned themselves in a very unique thing. So like them releasing games on any platform, like cool, like let's go for it. Let's just, because people just want to play games at the end of the day. And if you want to buy into an ecosystem, like cool, like go for it. But now you're choosing to option in, as opposed to like, oh, I have to buy a PlayStation 5 so that I can play Final Fantasy 16 because Sony decided to spend who knows how much money to lock that down, as opposed to like say, hey, maybe more people should play this story-driven narrative experience. It just, in my mind, I always just come back to theaters because I'm like, imagine if a movie comes out, it's going to be the big movie of the year, and we're going to only release it on one half of the of the country. So
Brian,
you have to go drive to that theater if you want to see that, or you can wait a theoretical amount of time.
I agree with you as far as what's consumer friendly practice, but in terms of the reality of what the console market space is like and Sony's current practices with franchises like Final Fantasy, I don't agree that that's what Xbox should actually do. Like, Xbox should absolutely keep Indiana Jones tied to PC and Xbox and cling to it for dear life. If it is going to be as good as it looked in that showcase today, they should never let it go. That game should never appear on PlayStation, because otherwise they will not be able to compete. And that's what all the
if
the
you're
ponies,
only
as you like
thinking
to
of
call
console sales, as I like to call them, that's the term. Like, just like people, I get called
Yeah, but
pony
you
and
guys-
Xbot all the time. So it's like,
you guys
I
are
get
like
both
thinking
sides.
that Xbox is going to become Sega, and that's somehow a win
No.
for them. It's not.
Xbox is going to
Yeah,
have an
it's-
Xbox.
It's in the name.
Yeah,
it's
then-
the Xbox.
Yeah, but you know why they call it an Xbox, right?
Because they're bad at naming. I don't know. They,
Yeah,
they,
they are
they
bad at
literally
naming.
put one out called the One.
Because it was supposed to be for like DirectX,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
API for DirectX. That's why they were doing it. So it's the
Yeah.
Xbox
And it was Project
DirectX.
Xbox, and they're like, well, we couldn't come up with anything better. It's Xbox instead of Project Xbox. It's a very Square Enix thing to do now.
There will be another Xbox, just like
Yeah,
there
there
will
will.
be another PlayStation. And for that hardware to not fail, it's important for Xbox to retain some level of identity. And unfortunately, in the current landscape, a lot of identity comes down to what are your IP, what are your brands associated with your console hardware brand that people intrinsically associate with it and that are exclusive to your platform. And that can include PC, because Microsoft makes that. But that is important. Like, that is why Sony has had success, because of Kratos, because of Ellie and Joel, because of, like, there's these flagship
but when Sony
franchises.
goes to put their games on PC day and date, like, what's going to get you to buy into that ecosystem?
Yeah.
Who says Sony is putting their first party games on PC day and date?
Not yet, but I'm saying that, like, if that day
No,
comes,
that's not happening, because they're not stupid.
clip it, guys, because I think essentially that will
Clip it.
happen.
Kirk, it's going to happen.
It in the next 2
There is
years,
no
it
way
won't.
you can spend
In the next
$400
2
million
years, there will not be a
and get the reach that
tentpole
you need to be able to
first
bring
party
back a profit.
PlayStation franchise that goes day and date onto PC.
For what? Sorry, what time?
Yeah,
frame?
and you're gonna pull out some not tentpole bullcrap to say that I'm wrong, but no. A
Well,
flagship, like we're talking Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, Insomniac, like first party banger IP. No, they're not releasing that day and date on PC in the next 2 years. It will not
Next
happen.
2 years? Okay.
Yes.
All right. But what if we go beyond 2 years?
Maybe. I'm not a clairvoyant, Brian. What
I mean,
are we
bet in 2
talking about
years.
here? What are we talking about
we're
here?
talking about the state and how the industry's functionality.
Yeah,
has
so in the
completely
next 2
shifted.
years, Xbox needs to get their shit together and stop making people lose faith in their brand because they come out and say bullshit sound bites that make them look weak and dumb compared to the market leader. That's what they need to do. That's
Brian,
what this whole discourse is about.
This is the pure metamorphosis of a console fanboy right in front of your eyes, Brian.
I'm not a fanboy. I own both. I like both.
I think everybody
want-
right there. You see that, Brian?
owns
I
them
own
all.
both. I like both. There it is, Brian. Console-itis has started to take over.
Yeah,
Kirk's
no,
brain.
my PC is from like 2013 because I'm poor.
See,
You
that's
don't have to have a lot of money to have a PC, man.
well, no, I would push
For it
back
to
that
be
it's like
better than a
the cost-
console, it's a lot of money.
The
Yeah,
entry
$650.
point for gaming on
Right,
consoles
that's
is
more
still
money than the
absolutely
console.
competitive. Yeah.
Hold on, Brian. How much do you pay a year for online access?
Do you know how many games I get with that?
Have you heard of Steam, my friend? How much money per year do you pay for online access?
Between the two of them, I guess it's 120.
Right. So you can get a console, you get a PC for $650. You can
So
pre-build it yourself.
120 a year
and then you could sit. You
And
could
then-
that 120 that you're spending. You can no longer have to spend that. You never spend it every other
That's
year.
that's not true because of Game Pass Ultimate, so that's not even true. I get
don't
Game
even
Pass
need-
Ultimate for
You can let that go.
$10-12 a month.
Well,
You can
what will
leave
be
it.
interesting with Game Pass Ultimate though is that being that it is a cloud, like they have the cloud option now. Xbox's cloud offerings, I think, are the worst out of it. But GeForce Now, like that's where it's like somebody asked me, would I buy a PC that's got the latest and greatest graphics card, etc.? And my answer was no, probably not, because I don't need it anymore. Like I stream on a 4080 right now because I use GeForce Now for pretty much 95% of all my gaming. And any game that is not on GeForce Now actually is, I'm like, oh, maybe I won't buy that one now. And so it's like that in and of itself, like highlights the flexibility where this is how I view it, Kirk, just because I think it gets it, people are always, they have the, like, hey, this is how it's been, so this is how it's going to be. But I think essentially the consoles are actually going to be more freed up to have more power and to actually cost more, because they're going to have to. When you look at the frustration that people had from going from PS4 to PS5, Xbox One to Series X, they were like, why am I paying $70? Like, there hasn't been a big enough jump. Like this feels like I'm still playing back on this cross-generational stuff. And it took 3 years within the current console generation before we actually started seeing like games that are like, this is PS5 forward. We're not going to put this on PS4. Right. And on Unreal 5, but still that fidelity leap was not as big as it was in the past. And so I think in order to have a leap, they're going to have to build better and stronger machines, which no matter what will cost more.
Did you see the Indiana Jones
cloud.
gameplay we saw today?
It's
Leap
beautiful.
is happening now. It's just deferred.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the
there was
same.
definitely
It's the
a delay.
same system.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the devs had to catch up to the tech that's available to that. Like, they're starting making these games on Unreal 4 like 3 years before the PlayStation 5 is even out. Yeah, the first set of games in the first couple of years are gonna be cross-gen titles. That doesn't. No, there's no demand for higher cost living room boxes that Alex believes shouldn't even exist, basically, because they're an inferior product.
They'll keep exist there, but it's like the reality is that within gaming, they represent such a small
like
fraction
Xbox
of
is
the
smart.
base.
That's why they've got the Series S, because they know what the appeal of a product like that is.
Right, and the next Xbox console most likely is going to be a hybrid cloud and console, and so that you're going to see that more or less become their option. Where do you fall on the realm of cloud gaming, Alex?
I hate it. Get it the fuck out of here.
What for?
Mostly
Oh my
because
God.
the entire concept of cloud gaming is lack of ownership.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that is the first process. The second one is also
That was more like Google though, because like cloud gaming right now is Steam. But yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't consider Steam cloud gaming.
Well,
You're
it's
talking about with
GeForce Now
in
is
conjunction with
uses your
GeForce
Steam
Now.
library.
Oh,
So
okay.
You can play it
okay,
locally,
okay.
or you can like
But
say, I'm going to
you can actually stream from PC to any device with Steam. You don't even need the GeForce Now. So
Right.
you're literally paying for nothing. If GeForce Now is using your Steam library to stream games, that's you're spending money for no particular reason, because if you have a capable enough PC, you can just stream from your PC to your phone or even your Steam Deck for free through even whatever. So there's a Steam Link app as well. So
Yeah,
paying
I
for
use the
GeForce
Steam Link
Now
app
is-
for games that don't have it, but it is a very easy convenience. That,
I
GeForce
definitely
Now
don't
offers.
hate cloud, because to Alex's point about PC being better, for someone like myself that doesn't have a nice rig, I can cloud stream as long as I have a very good internet connection, which I think
Well, Kirk,
that's going to be
you know
available
what?
to more people sooner
I got you,
than
Kirk.
being able to
I under-
have like a rig.
Kirk, I understand that you don't have a nice PC. Did you know that I'm sponsored by Starforge Systems? Use the link in the description down
I
below.
didn't.
You get free
I couldn't
access
be bothered to
Starforge.
know that.
I think Avowed could have been better though. The showing
Yeah.
for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, I thought you meant our show. I was like, I disagree.
Oh, really? I thought this was a good show.
The show was fun. The show was fun actually.
Yeah, no, Avowed. I don't know if you watched this earlier, but we were like, yep, just showing that same bandit camp
The same one.
5 times. Yeah, coming back
Let's
through with the
go.
wand in the bandit camp. Like,
Yeah, it was like I didn't notice it first. I'm
And
really
it's like
glad you called it out.
these gorgeous, and like, oh, it's the cave of
Yeah, it looks
wonders,
so
and
good,
the
and
the
it's like
beautiful
back
awaits.
then.
Back
Oh,
to
the
the
bandit
bandit camp.
camp.
And it's coming
Like,
out
it's
this
fucking
year.
time.
It's like, okay. Yeah. And it's like
An amazing wand physics in the bandit camp.
It didn't make any sense why they would even show that. Like, they should have done so much more with that.
60
Hopefully it's a
solid
good
seconds of a conversation with this guy, and he's like, I don't know. When I went and talked to him, he told me that I could.
how do you feel about the voice acting? Because
It's just like this
I felt
long pause.
yeah.
Oh god, dude. Yeah, they just gotta get better. I don't know, man. Somebody's gotta like I was saying to
just
Brian, I was
saw-
like, they can hire somebody to do this for them. I swear to God. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just
Yeah.
saw someone zoom in on the thumbs of Indiana Jones and say that Xbox is bad at making games because the thumbs don't look good. It is. It is.
War never
and
changes.
Aloy's not sexy enough, and yeah, whatever.
It is. And look, and they're already crossing into the whole like sweet baby ink woke thing because there's a girl with you.
Oh god.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God
It's
forbid.
so annoying.
Oh,
That
there's a
gives
girl.
me-
There's a
always been
woman.
girl.
Oh, there's
always
a
been girl.
woman.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
have these people never seen a movie from the 70s or 80s? Like, I don't understand. Yeah,
It's great.
whatever.
This is
That game looks awesome. I'm calling it. It's gonna get nominated for Game of the Year. It's gonna get like 8s and 9s across the board, if not higher. Machine Gaze knows what they're doing. They don't miss
Yeah.
unless somebody higher up makes them make a co-op only game. Like,
Oof.
that's a good idea. But yeah, Wolfenstein 2 is an absolute slapper. And yeah, this is gonna be their best game yet. I'm thinking like it's gonna get a critical reception around where like Deathloop was. Like it's gonna do very well, but it's also gonna be like not the best thing since sliced bread. Like it's gonna be somewhere right in that zone of like, maybe comparable to like Final Fantasy 16 this past year. Like a lot of people are gonna think it's very good. But there's going to be just something maybe that keeps it from being the best game of the year. But it's going to be, I mean, Xbox needs some wins bad, man. And so I'm excited for them to get it, right
think
before
they do.
they
I think they are
put it on
winning.
PlayStation.
I think they are winning. I think it's like what
No.
is winning, and I get from your perspective, and I like from a respectful perspective. Like, yeah, if you want,
That's why people. That's
the
why y'all
brand.
get harassed on Twitter, is because you say things like Xbox is winning. Like that's delusional. That's why people f with y'all.
Right. The thing is that does not then imply that anybody is losing. Like these companies aren't losing money. They're making games. People are playing games, and they're just trying to like say, how do we keep this growth up? Like this it just seems like the logical evolution of.
I
video
don't
games.
think that Redfall comes out last May and Phil literally has to come on a podcast with his tail between his legs to apologize to the greater public at large at why they're effing up so bad. And then
Redfall
Starfield is supposed to be the game of the
got
generation.
a lot of hate. It's not a bad game. It's a AA game at best. I would look at it like at a 7 maybe. It's kind. I had. Fun
You look
with
like
it.
the big chin guy meme. Like you're like,
Is it their best showing?
Oh,
Absolutely not. But I'm like, at the same thing about Forspoken got a lot of hate coming out last year. It's a fine game. I think when you start to look at the price of video games, that's where I go to. I look at like what was the cost of value. Forspoken, $20 to $40. That's when I look at that. Same thing with Redfall. I was like, it was in Game Pass. Who gives a
Xbox
crap?
needs games that are worth $70 at launch.
No, but no game is worth $70 at launch.
Yeah.
That's
What
that's
game is
not
that?
true.
What game is worth $70 at launch?
What game
God
is
of
worth
War
$70?
Ragnarok.
Not
Is it-
even
is-
close.
Okay, I'm the poor one.
Not even.
I'm not saying I can pay for it. I'm just saying the product
What
is
if I told
quality
you
enough.
You could take God of War Ragnarok and 2018, and you could fucking Kobe that shit into the goddamn garbage because the best God of War is God of War 3.
All right, I'm leaving. Have a nice show, guys.
Oh, he did. Let's see if he brings him the
Before
all right.
I do have to get going because
It's like that. I try to keep these in an hour, and we're over 4 minutes, so I do apologize for that.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't
Alex,
wanna
where
be
can
rude.
people find you? What do you got? What are you working on? What can you plug?
Hey, there's Kurt. Look, I think there's
And
something
the
in
button
the water.
popped. Oh, he did it.
You can
Cool
find me on
undershirt.
youtube.com/oh no it's Alex. The content ranges from gaming news, Steam Deck how-to videos,
So
fanboy
whatever this
content.
was,
So, and this is really what my live streams are like every Saturday.
But appreciate you, Alex. Thank you for coming on. Kirk,
Thanks,
way
man.
to let the goose loose. In this
I better
case.
get a raise for this.
we,
You don't
we
get
pay
paid.
nothing. Yeah, it's like this is the podcast maybe makes a couple of pennies that covers the cost of the software to run it. All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time and take care.
Epic Loop Radio. Epic Loop Radio.